Should Glinda's dress in the Wicked movie be pink or blue? In the 1939 film The Wizard of Oz, she's seen wearing pink. The original story shows her in pink, and Glinda mentions wearing pink when meeting Dorothy in the Wicked Years novels on which the play is based. All the signs point to this dress being pink. Anyone who says otherwise shouldn't obsess over it like the Wicked Witches over a pair of shoes. But just like how Wicked is to The Wizard of Oz, there's an untold story here. This dress and the many other outfits parallel her character growth. Let me explain. To truly understand Glinda the Good, we're gonna have to dive deep into her persona in the Wicked Years novels. With that, the first thing we need to address is Glinda's real name isn't Glinda.
What?
It's Galinda.
It's Galinda with a G.
Although there is only one letter differentiating the two names, the two could not be any more different. Galinda is a socialite who cares more about her social status rather than her education. This is a shared trait between the stage and book versions, but I assure you she is much more than a dumb blonde. Galinda is a clever girl who hides behind her social tendencies to fit in with high society life. She's judgmental towards others and self-absorbed. Honestly, what do you expect from a privileged 17-year-old girl who has never lived outside her hometown? Her perspective on the world is quite small. The only person who sees past her fake facade is her roommate Elphaba, aka the Wicked Witch of the West, who helps Galinda develop her skills to think on her own. She later embraces the more academic side of campus life. The reason why she changes her name from Galinda to Glinda isn't a ploy to get a boy to like her. It comes from the tragic loss of Dr. Dillamond and her nanny, Ami Clutch. Galinda represents everything she hated about herself. The lies, the schemes, her self-centered nature is all senseless noise. Those losses made her realize that there is much larger things to worry about. Upon leaving Shiz University, she devotes herself to doing good by donating to all sorts of charities, and much later she becomes the temporary leader of Oz. Throughout her life, she still grapples with her identity crisis, slipping into the fog of shallow high society life from time to time, but she always manages to do her best for the world around her, even if some might disagree, like with Dorothy and the whole shoe incident that leads to the demise of her best friend, or more? It's kind of up to interpretation, but these two do share a goodbye kiss, so there's that. Her transformation from Galinda to Glinda in the books represents a humanity to want to be better, and although we might fall back into our old habits, we're still trying our best, and that's what counts. Now, Wicked takes all of this backstory and simplifies it even more so. I mean, what do you expect from a 2.5-hour play that tells the story of both the Wicked Witch and Glinda the Good, plus other shenanigans going on? Despite Glinda and Elphaba singing roughly around the same amount of songs, Elphaba gets a lot more screen time to express how she's feeling. Glinda, not so much. And it doesn't help that most of the time Glinda is looked upon as an airhead. Thank goodness for costume design, because all 6 of Glinda's outfits give us insight into this otherwise cryptic character. And no, the reason isn't because she's a fashionista who dresses to kill, even though that is accurate information. Now, I know technically this isn't the first costume we see her wear, but it is the first in the chronological events of the story. The Shiz uniform is all white. Yes, I know that I'm not wearing all white because, I don't think I own a white shirt, so this'll have to do. The white Shiz uniform helps her stand out from all the other students, and that's kind of it. Compared to other colors later on, white is quite lackluster. Take a look at Elphaba's dress in Act 2. This dress might look black in some lights, but it encompasses a myriad of different colors. This reflects how she's much more than a wicked witch, while white is just white. From a story perspective, it symbolizes the snobby shallowness of Galinda, and while wearing this color, she is transparent in what she wants, whether it's a sorcery seminar or the attention of a boy. It's all too easy to figure out. When she doesn't get what she wants, she has a temper tantrum like a young child, and just like with young children, she also pokes fun at Elphaba.
Well, it seems the artichoke is steamed.
White is a color that represents immaturity, and the symbolism isn't just presented with Galinda. Fiyero wears white as well. When he strolls in singing Dancing Through Life, his song mirrors Galinda's attitude, showing that they are the perfect shallow pair.
perfect, so we're perfect together.
This shallowness from Galinda doesn't mean that she's a lost cause. We see a little bit of blue on her blouse. Blue is a very, very important color that we'll get back to later. For now, we'll say we see glimmers of Glinda. This is the iconic pink dress that everyone associates with Glinda. Except this isn't Glinda, it's Galinda.
You can call me Galinda.
Back to the Wicked years that there is a huge difference between the two. They might be the same person, but their motivations vary. This dress shows the best and worst of Galinda. She manipulates Elphaba into wearing a hat so everyone can laugh at her at the Ozdust Ball. She dances with her and then gives her a makeover that leads the iconic line,
Pink goes good with green.
she's right, it does. They work harmoniously in a color scheme way and for the sake of the story. Popular is the moment that Elphaba and Glinda find common ground. However, Galinda is still Galinda, steamrolling over Elphaba's wants and desires by giving her a makeover she didn't want in the first place.
Oh, you really don't have to do that.
This is a little different in the novel, where Glinda lets Elphaba be, but throws shade at her clothing choices later on. There's a different dynamic between the two of them, but I find it quite humorous. Just like with the Shiz uniform, she still cares about surface level things. Most of it revolves around her being liked by everyone, which is a conflict that we'll get into later. And unlike White, Pink shows her getting what she wants and selflessly doing something for another person, making Pink represent a new dawn, or an awakening in Galinda's true potential as the Good Witch. Listen, for someone that's kind of like an Elphaba who doesn't really have like an assortment of colors, especially like pastel-y colors, this yellow hat's gonna have to do. Sorry, I'm trying my best here. And with that, yellow is an interesting color that Glinda wears. Yes, I know I said Glinda, because at this point in the story, she's now changed her name.
It's Glinda now.
That does not mean that Galinda's influence has disappeared. The transformation from Galinda to Glinda encompasses the whole story. I know, it's confusing, just bear with me, okay? Yellow is a color that makes her stand out from the hullabaloo of Emerald City, but also harmoniously belong there, as opposed to the harshness of the black dress that Elphaba wears. Both yellow and black go together as well, which leaves Glinda in an interesting place narratively. She's ambitious, not wanting to miss the opportunity to be by the wizard's side, but she also doesn't like how he and Morble trick her best friend into reading from the Grimoire to inflict pain onto a bunch of monkeys. All in all, Glinda is cautious and too afraid to make any choice, too afraid to defy gravity and unwilling to give up her studies as a sorceress. This brings in a key difference between Elphaba and Glinda. The Wicked Witch isn't afraid to burn bridges and lose her connection to stand for what she believes is right, while Glinda never burns a bridge because forming connections is what leads to change. Although they may not understand each other's points of view, they both wish the other to be happy with their choice. While wearing this dress, she starts to go against the narrative of what the citizens of Oz are saying, distancing herself from the gossip, foreshadowing the lesson she tries to teach in No One Warns the Wicked. Out of all of the costumes that Glinda wears, this hands down has to be my favorite. It is an embodiment of what Thank Goodness is all about. Thank Goodness is a song that shows Glinda's confusion. She loves celebrating with the people of Oz, but is also saddened by the choices she's made.
There's a kind of a sort of cost. There's a couple of things get lost.
What Fiyero says in the middle of the song,
You can't leave because you can't resist all of this.
this seems to tell the audience that Glinda is just as shallow as her younger self. However, that's only one side of the story. If we go back to the Wicked years for a second, Glinda is great at pretending. She wears a mask and is great at playing the role of a high society woman. But she isn't that girl. She's clever and more somber than people realize. That comes from the grief of losing a teacher, a caretaker, and the unexpected departure of Elphaba. These unfortunate circumstances lead her to having a fear of abandonment. And in Wicked, thank goodness, is the closest we get to book Glinda, which makes this song even more heartbreaking. As for the dress, it's unlike any of the others. It's unperfectly perfect. It has sharp edges and is asymmetrical, meaning if we cut this dress right down the middle, we would get two different halves. On the one side, we have the longer sleeve to showcase the more Galinda side of herself, the person who loves the cheers and the ballyhoo, while the other side brings in the mystery of Glinda, an individual that we formally haven't been introduced to yet. The sparkly gray color reinforces Glinda's confusion as well, making this dress a mastery in storytelling that reflects the song perfectly. Glinda goes back to white, which brings us back in touch with her Galinda-like side, wanting to plot and scheme to hurt Elphaba in a petty way. We also get the reprise of I'm Not That Girl, and this song is an interesting one because if we look at both versions, Elphaba and Glinda are seen wearing white, reinforcing the fact that they aren't the girl that they're pretending to be. It results in them distancing themselves from the shallowness and embracing themselves as who they truly are. We've come full circle in a way. The bubble dress is the first and last dress that Glinda wears. From a narrative perspective, Glinda is the narrator of Wicked. With that information, it tells us how much Glinda has matured through the years, able to admit how snobby she was when she was younger, while also learning from her mistakes. In the past, she gave in to fear, letting others like Morbull control her. Now, she stands up for herself, making her the only person that can go toe-to-toe with Elphaba.
Somebody's got to say it! You are out of control!
She doesn't care what anyone else thinks and does what she believes to be right. In a way, the finale is kind of Glinda's defying gravity moment, admitting to Oz that she wants to make good. Wait. Excuse us, just a TikTok. Make good. Why does that sound so familiar? Oh, that's because Elphaba sings it in The Wizard and I. And look what color she's wearing. She's wearing blue. Do we see the connection here? Blue is all about making good or doing good for others. And it gives us another tether between the two main leads to showcase how similar their values are. Take a look at the dress specifically. Susan Hilferty, the award-winning costume designer for Wicked, said that the bubble dress took inspiration from famous gowns of the 1950s, where the rest of Oz's fashion comes from the Edwardian era, the beginning of the 1900s, which works because it brings an optimistic future for the land of Oz. So to answer this question, does this dress need to be pink or blue? Honestly, it doesn't matter, as long as the narrative is still being told by Glinda's outfits. If pink now represents Glinda's transformation from the Good Witch and still represents Galinda, then there needs to be a visual difference between the two. Maybe it's a darker shade of pink or poofier sleeves for Galinda, or Glinda goes for a more sleeveless look with a lighter shade. Whatever it is, it needs to be clear to the audience early. If a color is being replaced, then there needs to be a visual explanation as to why. It looks like blue is taking the place of white in Galinda's shiz uniform. And remember, white symbolized the shallowness of the character. Through this outfit, it seems to show a battle between blue and pink. From this behind-the-scenes picture, it seems that the colors mix together to make a purpley blue. And I'm gonna have to go out on a limb and say that this is Glinda's thank goodness dress, a dress that emphasizes her confusion about what she wants. I don't know, that's just what I'm thinking. I could be 100% wrong. If you omit a color altogether, take yellow for example, then there needs to be something to replace it. It doesn't have to be another color, it could be musically, a line could be written in. Whatever it is, something narratively has to take its place. If not, there is a huge hole in her transformation from Galinda to Glinda. And goodness knows we do not need any more confusing plot points. As a personal preference, I like Glinda's bubble dress in blue because I think it's easier to visually decipher who is Galinda and who is Glinda. Yes, I know they're the same person, but it just shows a nice visual progression for her character growth. The only reason that Wicket's bubble dress is blue is because of copyright issues with the Wizard of Oz movie. That hurdle didn't stop Susan and her amazing storytelling through her costumes. It was essential from the very beginning to identify Elphaba and Glinda in relation to each other and in relation to the company that is surrounding them in each scene. For both Glinda and Elphaba, I made the decision to make Elphaba connect to the ground and Glinda connect to the sky, and that connection could not be any more prevalent with Glinda. Every costume embodies the sky. The white shiz uniform is like Galinda is lost in a fog of shallowness. The Ozdust gown is like a sunrise, a brand new day for the character. A yellow sky represents a storm brewing. Thank goodness brings in a cloudiness where you're not sure if it's gonna rain or not. While the bubble dress brings in a clear, bright sky of optimism.
I'd like to try to help. I'd like to try to be Glinda, the good.
And I'm not sure if this was planned or not, but you have to admit that that is great storytelling. That's all I gotta say about that. Hopefully you learned something. If you didn't, then thanks for sticking around. Hopefully the film incorporates this attention to detail, and at the very least, hopefully it inspires people to want to go see it on stage. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about the movie or small little details from the play. Whatever you want to tell me, let me know in the comments down below. If you're looking for more musical insight, then click this video right over here about Hellfire. Little known fact, the lyrics were written by Stephen Schwartz, the legend that wrote the music of Wicked. So go check that out if you want. I guess I'll see you when I see you next. All right, bye.